So I'm Steph Klecha and I'm Head of Digital Services at Porterbrook. And at Porterbrook we own nearly a third of all the passenger rolling stock in the UK. And my job really is to understand how we can make use of the data we can potentially get off our trains and deliver value to the industry. So at Porterbrook we had a strategic objective to really look into performance of our assets. And one of our key fleets was our West Mid 172s. So we went to Infinitive Group with the problem statement, which was really how can we improve performance and reliability of this particular fleet. Now we knew from our reliability data that engines were a particular subsystem that were causing a lot of pain. So that was really the focus area that we set about to work on with Infinitive through the duration of the project. And really what the focus of the project was on was could we use that data to develop prognostics which could help us spot that things were going wrong before they actually failed in service. So as part of this strategic project, we went out to a number of suppliers, and Infinitive were one of the groups that came back to us with a response. And I think one of the things that made them stand out as a company was their innovative and prototyping approach to the problem. You know, they weren't afraid to roll their sleeves off and get their hands dirty. We had lots of suppliers who really came from a background which was very pure data science, and I think being more engineering led from someone who understands the problem on the ground was something that really stood out in Infinitive's proposition. One of the challenges we have often with data is that in a pure mathematical sense you can draw conclusions and develop algorithms, but if those solutions aren't resilient and they don't really understand the true context of the solution that they're trying to deliver, they fall apart when you actually try and put them into practice. And I think Infinitive's hands-on approach really stood out in that respect, in that we were confident that we were going to get a result that would actually be sustainable from a performance perspective. Well, one, the fact that Infinitive are a small company, which makes them actually really stand out as I guess, an interesting and exciting supplier to work with, because you're agile, which means you can respond to our requests and demands very rapidly and adapt as well as our demands and requests change. I think the other thing about Infinitive that really stood out is the fact that you do have this combination of operational understanding as well as technical understanding. So the challenge we often have as an asset owner at Porterbrook is that we have legacy fleets. So there's equipment on there that's already functioning, and Infinitive as a supplier were able to make use of what existed as well as offer us new solutions, hardware and software, that could get more from the asset. But I think that operational know-how of what data is important to make a difference to the performance, but also how do I get data off in the most effective and cost-efficient way, bringing those two together makes Infinitive Group a really important partner really for an asset owner who's not only looking at new rolling stock but also trying to get the best out of existing rolling stock. So as part of the project, Infinitive Group delivered algorithms which were hitting around 60 to 70% accuracy, which was really impressive from a project which only really lasted about 6 months. That comes with a caveat though, because that 60 to 70% did come with a relatively high false positive rate. And that's always the balance when the algorithmic development is you want a high accuracy rate, but equally you don't want to erode your customers' confidence because they're going to vehicles that actually don't need attention because of your false positives. So, I mean, that's one of the key areas really to work further with Infinitive and other suppliers on, is how do we get that accuracy up but also the false positives down. And I think an area where Infinitive really thrive is having that buy-in on the ground. So you only improve your accuracy if you actually understand what's happening to the asset in the real world. And their ability to go to site, to see the assets, to see what's going wrong, to understand how that affects the data, and really scrutinise their algorithms to understand whether or not they're getting it right or wrong is a really key area. So I think it's a future area for development for Porterbrook as a whole, and it's also a future area for partnership perhaps between Infinitive and Porterbrook as a digital initiative. So as a result of the project, I think it really shifted Porterbrook's focus towards reliability and availability. And these are key drivers within the industry, especially post-COVID, where we know that the industry is under immense pressure from a financial perspective to really deliver true value to the passenger and the taxpayer. So without the work that we'd done with Infinitive, we wouldn't have been able to prove that this was a realistic way to go. But as a result of that project, we saw the impact that prognostics could have on engine performance. We also saw the opportunity to apply the same mentality to other subsystems. So if we consider the value that this project has brought to the industry, well, it's probably at least twofold in that it's improved performance of the assets that we ran the project on, but it's also opened up a huge opportunity portfolio for other subsystems and other fleets where we could apply the same approach. So if we move to thinking about the future and what initiatives Porterbrook's really looking at to deliver value to the taxpayer and passengers, I think there are two key areas for focus. One, which is really at the heart of what we've already done with Infinitive Group, which is to focus on availability and reliability. And that's something where I think there'll be ongoing development in our business for a good number of years. The second thing is really understanding how rolling stock can benefit infrastructure management. And that again is another area we're working with Infinitive because of their expertise in understanding how do we get data off our trains and also how do we understand what that data really means. So in a post-COVID world where we're looking to really bring track and train together as a system, I think there's a huge opportunity there for Porterbrook and for Infinitive Group to really work together to see what we can deliver from the data that's available on our assets.